Hello, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Smite OCL. I'm cast number one. My name is Lath or Stoinus, and joining me as cast number two is Osme. Adlers, how are we?
I'm very well, Lath. Pleasure to join you here again on the cast.
The two most handsome men in OCE linking up once again. It's the dream team we all love to see. Anyway,
Undeniably.
everyone, let's get straight into this. This is week 7. It's the final week of Smite OCL season 4, I do believe. It's very bad. I don't. Yeah, it is season 4. A bit of an interesting final week. We can firstly start off by saying we only have the recordings for one game, which is BGF versus La Bomba, which is the set that we will be watching tonight. So I'll just do a little quick rundown of what happened in the other games, starting with Pi versus Crusaders. Now, those games were played. Unfortunately, no one spectated, so we don't actually have the VODs to watch back on. So that was a 2-0 in the favor of Pi, which, interesting enough, does actually make Pi completely flawless. They've won every single game this season. They haven't dropped a single game. So they are 7-0 on the standings.
Very clean.
Yes, very clean from the boys. On to Threats versus Married Men. And I do have Moss here. I'll let Moss do a quick little run through for that.
Yes. Unfortunately, we had a few availability issues on the side of the married men, so we did have to chuck an FF up. Apologies to the threats, but yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Now the last game,
Yeah, now the
Knights.
last game, Crimson Knights versus Jack Martins. Now, this was at the end a DQ on the side of Jack Martins enforced by the Crimson Knights, as they were a tad bit late to the set, and the Knights no longer wanted to wait, so they did enforce the disqualification rule after about 50 minutes of sitting in lobby. So that is a 2-0 to Crimson Knights, 2-0 to Threats, and a 2-0 to Wonderful Day for Pi for the week just been.
Do you reckon we'll be seeing another one tonight?
Uh, Look, man, if this is me, I'm assuming that BGF should be able to take a 2-0. I think that they've been doing really well in the past couple of weeks. Obviously, the standings aren't showing what's happened in week 5 and week 6, as the week 7 standings shows the actual results, which we don't want to post yet. But I do believe that outside of the Pie set that they had been doing pretty well. I'm pretty sure they won 2-1 against Married Men. You can see they got a
Hmm.
2-0 against Crusaders, 2-1 against Jack Martins. So I think they're building up a bit of momentum in the last couple of weeks. So I do think that they have the ability to take this set 2-0.
Yeah, it's a nice way to kind of finish off your bracket. They had a pretty hard bracket to begin with, uh, but have been on a steady rise. And I believe this game for La Bomba, win or lose, there's no change on whether or not they're getting into the finals. But on the for the hand of BGF, they've made it in, but this game can impact their seeding, so who they're playing against in the finals, which is actually very important. So
Yes.
I assume that BGF will be not taking this game too lightly. I think La Bomba has the potential to take some games, but I don't know, maybe some failure to launch this season with this team. There seems to be a few consistencies coming up when comes to La Bomba, just a few kind of missed marks, perhaps.
Yeah, I think the teams, I think their players have been a bit in and out this season. I haven't quite followed on exactly what's been happening for these guys, but I do believe that they've had substitutes in almost every single set they've played. So it's been a bit all over the place. As I'm assuming that this is the roster that we are looking at here. Aries Gamer in solo, Milo in the jungle, Bandboy mid, Efri support, and NBA prospect, which I do believe is Chigo in the carry. And of course, we can't forget the best coach in the region, Boobas876.
Yeah, stunning roster, really. I think this is actually the first time they're going to have that. This is their full roster, I believe. If they have this entire squad in the lobby, that's going to be a full roster for them. So it's good to see. I think this team has some definitely promising points. Some points not as promising. Perhaps like a lack of experience from a few players. Um, we haven't seen too many of them in the competitive scene before this season, but there is some definite mechanical skill in some of their roles. We've seen Milo, who may have not been seen too often in the competitive scene, but he's was very impressive towards the beginning end of the season. What do you
Yeah,
think about this team?
yeah. Look, I think they've got a couple of like individual skilled players, like really good players, that struggle a bit at the competitive level. You know, there's a couple of real like casual stoppers in here, people that you know who can play the game to a higher degree than a lot of others, but they just struggle. I'm not sure if it's their teamwork, you know, their ability just to mesh with another team. I think it could be a lack of experience. I think there might be a couple of egos getting around, but I definitely think that there are a couple of players here who are above and beyond. They just need to learn to bring that into the competitive scene. So I do agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's good for players to have egos in moderation, but I think when there's too many individuals on a team and it's not as much of a team environment, it's quite easy to tell.
Anyway, moving on to their opponents for tonight, BGF. Now, this is a interesting team as this team has changed as well. To be fair, as far as the changes go, obviously the Bomber have been playing with, I'm pretty sure, subs almost every single week. I'm hearing that they might actually have a sub for this game as well in the mid lane. BGF aren't so much using subs every week, but have kind of just revamped the entire roster. I think from the start, it's just Dookie, Carter, and Weave who are still the same members, and even then, Dookie has changed from jungle to carry. So we do have House in the solo lane, Melb's jungle, Carter mid, and then Weave and Dookie in the duo lane. I think we have a full roster for this week. Uh,
Yeah, it's a nice lineup for the BGF boys. I think Dookie has actually surprised me at his performance in carry. I thought he was more of a jungle solo player in the past, but stepped into the duo lane and has had a really strong performance so far. And we've seen this team kind of be, I don't know, operated by Weave in a very specific way, which maybe last week we didn't see the best example of, but in previous weeks before
oh,
that, um,
yes.
let's just gloss over that real now.
Yeah,
um,
no, we don't need to touch on that. Let's continue.
yeah, uh, I think this team definitely has what we were kind of talking about with the last team, how they might lack a little bit of synergy. This team has formed quite a good synergy, and they seem to play pretty well with each other.
Yeah, so as far as House, Melbs, and Carter go, the three of them, I know these guys from way back. We used to play on PS4 previously before I think all of us have now moved to PC. And back in those days, around the season 4, season 5 time, you couldn't actually get conquest games in OCE. So we used to just play customs. So House, Melbs, Carter all know each other really well. They've been playing, you know, competitive custom games together for years and years. So I'm not too surprised that they have really meshed together.
Yeah, I think we should be ready shortly to head into the picks and bans. Now, I will give everybody a heads up. We don't have the full picks and bans phase for the game recordings. We've just got the final screen. So we'll spend a minute or two just glossing over the picks and bans.
Yeah,
Now,
so Yorm
yeah,
first pick, which isn't too surprising. I know a lot lately people have been taking this Jormungandr. I know House himself has looked pretty good on it as well. It's so good for getting a lot of lane pressure. You know, it's really hard to kill late game. The ultimate provides so much disruption in team fights, so I'm not too surprised to see that taken in the first pick. However, it did give up the Baba Yaga on the other side. What do we think about Baba Moss?
Bobber Yoger is really good god. She's so potent at the moment with her build path and is just very hard to lock down from the enemy team. She can just go up into the home sweet home in the middle of a team fight, say goodbye to anybody trying to dive you, maybe unless it's a Carly or something. But she's very potent god. And I actually really like the draft from La Bomba. I think Wukong is very strong at the moment as well.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of Wukongs.
Very slippery, kind of similar to Jormungandr in a respect where if you get a little bit too low, you just go up into that ult. And I'd argue that Wukong's ult is a little bit better than Yorm's. There's not as much distance close, but you can get that big damage when you come down. And then, yeah, partnered up with a nice duo lane. I think Athena Cern is very good. People with mobility, maybe on the other team, such as the Hachi and the Baka, can get caught out really easily by the taunt cripple. And then a
Yeah, I
nice
do.
little Thanatos in there just to top it off.
I do like the Thanatos Athena. I like the ability for two people just to move across the map really quickly. So I'm a bit of a fan of that. I'm not too sure about the Athena with the gods picked around her though. I don't see a lot of value coming off of this taunt. Baba Yaga abilities don't really need CC to set up for. She doesn't have some sort of ult that can, really quickly burst off of an Athena taunt. Sononos maybe a little bit more with the with that polymorph in the Wild Hunt. But yeah, I don't know. I like the Athena. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and also we see Dookie getting his Hachi again, which he seems to be the only god he wants to play, and doesn't seem like too much of an issue for La Bomba because they didn't prioritize a Hachi ban. They didn't think it was going to be an issue, and the amount of disrupt and lockdown on the side of um, BGF is very nice. That Kuzin will just be a pain on top of the Ishel has such good lockdown. I think it's a nice draft from both teams. Which one would you rather be playing?
Um, it's an interesting one. I think I'd probably rather be playing the BGF draft, but I do think that this La Bomba draft, if played correctly, could be really potent. So look, it's hard to tell. I think purely based on the simplicity of it, I'd have to give this to the BGF draft.
You're just a little bucker abuser, and I know it.
I, I do dabble in the little demon. I will admit I'm quite a big fan of him, and I just think he's nice and simple. It's very easy to play off this draft the BGF have picked. La Bomba really gonna have to come out and hit all their shots and play to their draft properly to come away with the dub.
Yeah, I would personally agree with you. I think that the team fight from BGF's way better, so I'd probably prefer that comp if I had to choose.
You're meant to be unbiased. You're meant to go the opposite of what I say.
No, it's okay.
Anyway, everyone, straight into
Ooh,
it. We are getting into game number one of BGF vs La Bomba, and I've noticed something instantly here. It's uh, what is this? Overthinking Hooper in ADC, Yugi in mid, and NBA Prospect in the jungle. Now, NBA Prospect is Chiga. I'm pretty sure Overthinking Hooper is also Milo. So I think
I
just
have no clue.
I think just a role swap is. Oh, Carter takes a lot of damage to start this game.
Yeah, I think Chigo's definitely got it. Oh
Oh
my
my
god,
god.
Yugi.
Okay, I did say this that Baba doesn't quite need the taunt to hit the abilities, so
Mm.
that's a clean first blood for Yugi on the Baba Yaga. What a showing for the substitute.
I don't know if you should necessarily be dying to a level 2 Baba Yaga, but give him hell, Yugi. Let him have it. I think the role swaps here are interesting. It would tell me that uh, they wouldn't have Golden Bandboy available, so they thought chuck Yugi in there. And then who's there? Oh yeah. I'm confused by that a little bit, but I think Chigo's got what it takes to carry a game on the Thana. He's a very aggressive player, which when Thana's ahead, playing aggressively is very, very strong. Um, we've
Yeah,
seen, I think most people have seen Chigo playing the Thanatos in casuals and running it down.
yeah, I've seen him play Thana quite a fair bit, so I am excited to see what he can do here. I'm kind of curious as to what caused this role swap. I think the Milo was doing pretty well in the jungle, for a little while. A lot of people were saying that he was like the main carry of this team, so to see him change is a bit curious. So I'm excited to see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, you could. That was a sick dash.
As far as Yugi goes, Yugi's also one of those guys from the PS4 days with Carter, Melbs, and House. So these guys actually will know Yugi quite well. Um, he's been on PC for quite a time though, but we all go a little bit back. So it's cool to see all the boys getting around now.
Definitely. I think I like the idea of role swapping if I'm on La Bomba. They haven't had too much success this season, so why not just one last hurrah. See if it feels good. Maybe next season they could be looking at some of these different roles on this team or future ones. So yeah, I'm not too mad about a lane swap.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt. You don't really have anything to lose here. The Bomba obviously not able to make it into finals, so this will be the last set that we'll be seeing from them. BGF though do have the ability to move up in the standings here. I think they're sitting in 6th place right now, with Jack Martins taking taking the loss by DQ. It does put them into, I think, 5th place. But
Mhm.
if BGF can come away with a win here, it will slide BGF up into 5th, and then the Martins down into 6th place. So there is a little bit to play for here. You know, the difference between playing the number 3 team and playing the number 4 team, which honestly, in my opinion, I don't think makes that much of a difference. I think all teams from 3 to 6 are very tight, and I don't think standings are going to matter a whole deal in regards to, you know, who gets a better deal in the start of the finals.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this upper middle pack is pretty even. There's definitely some teams who have a little bit of better of an idea, but hold that thought. Oh,
Oh, Chigo gets up into the air and then manages to come straight back down with a hovering death. Picks up a kill, will trade his life. Carter picks up that one in return. And that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he managed to get up into the ultimate seemingly just in time, and we're expecting him to leave, but luckily for him, Melbs was quite low, and Chigo picks up a cheeky little kill.
yeah, that's the potency of that matchup there. If you overcommit on this Thanatos, you get blasted by Baba Yaga, and then he can just go up into his ult and fall straight back down on you. I think Carter did a good job to just uh, kind of clean up what Melbs couldn't. But yeah, I think that was a nice play from the Thanatos.
Yeah. If you're playing the Thanatos, where are you thinking that this aggression needs to be put? As we said, he's quite the early character. You know, you're versing a Bakasor who's obviously going to get up a little bit stronger as the game goes on, as ultimate forced out of Dookie. I'm not too sure much used. It looks like just the Wild Hunt was traded in, but I think Milo's feeling a little bit better trading the Wild Hunt for the Mounted Archery. But sorry, back to my question. Where are you thinking that this Thanatos needs to put the aggression? You know, which lane does he need to get ahead early here to really make use of that early power of Thanatos?
Well, I don't think it matters exactly which lane he gets a kill in, but I think he needs just a gank. He needs a successful gank. Probably pre-5, I don't know. Thanatos can just snowball out of control so quickly. So as long as there's some sort of progression there, he's going to be feeling good. He did pick up a kill, but I don't think that's the way he would have liked it, suffering a death afterwards. But I think Thanatos's pressure can really impact any lane at this point in the game. And you really need to be keeping those kills up on Thanatos to be able to do the one-shot shenanigans that you really want to be doing.
A bit of grouping here for the mid camps. Carter decides to give it up. Just heads over to left. So I'm not too sure if he has time. We even Efri kind of in the same area here. You're thinking of deciding not to come in, but yeah, I do agree. I think he doesn't so much need to get kills. He just needs to push a lane ahead. I liked him rotating over to look at this Hachiman. I'd like to see him come straight back and do it again before that mounted archery comes back. Although it does look like it is just about to come back up for Dookie. There it is right now. So maybe a missed chance there, but I do like to see that little bit of extra aggression. Milo, unfortunately, taking the fight here, does cancel the dash. Both ultimates used by the ADCs. Weaver's here on the Kuzumbo, but so is Efri, and Dookie could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah,
Pre-Beezes, I don't think the taunt even came out.
interesting. I would have liked to see the Thanatos coming over there. I think his jungle camp timers are a little bit different because he just only dropped his speed at that point. But if I'm playing Cernanos and I'm having a Hachi playing that far up, ulting me, I'm screaming for a gank. And I think the Thanatos would have just cleaned up there.
Yeah, it looks like Melbs has the same sort of idea. He's just gonna decide to take that little defense buff, and that'll do for him. As we look at the solo lane as Whole lot of nothing going on, as we would expect from solo. But hang on, though. In mid, though, a little bit more going on. Both assassin ultimates come out. Chica's very low here. I'm not too sure if he's going to decide to come back into this one. Will elect to go away as a lot of ultimates traded here. Not a lot of joy, really. Melbs, Carter, both using their ultimates. As well as Chigo. No real life taken. I'm not even too sure if any relics were taken.
Yeah. I think there's absolutely no kill potential in solo. They both have ults that just get them out. So even if one of them gets the other low, there has to be one of those ults traded before anything's really going to happen. So we can just forget about that until it's teamfight time. So well, unless one of the junglers chooses to come over, but we haven't seen too much priority from either jungler in the solo lane so far. I think this Kuzumbo is actually going to start popping off in these team fights. The kind of way you have to space around a Hebo is really, around a Kuzumbo is really difficult sometimes in team fights. He can control space and corners so well, and that paired with the little bucker who can just walk around the back, regurgitate, and just chomp your whole team for being positioned strangely is quite a nice little combo there.
Yeah, I don't mind it actually. The little combo, as you just said, between the Kuzumbo and the Bakasura. It's funny that Kuzumbo's kind of made this big resurgence. I've been seeing a lot of play out of him. I think Nan, one of the supports who really swears by how good Kuzumbo is Dookie, is very low here. Chigo's up in the ultimate. You have to assume he's going to get this kill. Oh no, he whiffs the ult. Does get the scythe though, and the scythe is going to keep him alive, along with the mitigations from the Athena ult. Good little scythe throw there to keep the jungler alive for La Bomba.
Very lucky. Well, not lucky. That was a good scythe, but everybody on the map knows that Chico's going in there, so I don't think there's too much counterplay apart from juking the ult, which Juki already did. So it shows that the Thanatos is actually quite potent at this point in the game. There's not really much you can do about him.
Yeah, that scythe does so much damage, as well as a really big chunk of healing as well. Back to solo, and I think this is going about as much as we would expect. House on this Yorm. He's got that full Chronos Pendant online. He's got the Sundering Axe. Sorry, it's just a Warrior's Axe at this point. He's not that far ahead yet. And is this what Wukong is really strong with right now? Is this the solid Wukong meta?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Normally whenever Wukong's really strong, it's always like a solid meta is. And final end comes out of Carter. Doesn't quite have the damage. Chico is hovering. He's waiting for Melbs to get into threshold, but the Home Sweet Home's not quite enough to get him in.
I think he was hovering his own death there if he went in. And it looks like we're seeing both of these solo laners go into Prophetic. And it did get a small buff recently, I believe. And I kind of looked at it and I'm like, after the buff, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. So I'm not too surprised, but we haven't seen too much of the Prophetic as of late. Especially in solo, at least.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been electing towards the Gauntlet of Thebes a little bit more. It's odd in solo. I think it's going to be quite hard for him to stack. Obviously, he does have a magical solo laner to stack it against, but as far as the stacking physicals, I mean, Melbs hasn't really walked into the solo side jungle whatsoever this game. He's been... Both junglers even have been putting a lot of focus into the duo lane, so it's a curious pickup. I'm not too sure how it is. It's a bold strategy, and we'll have to see how it plays out for him.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad item. He'll stack it pretty easily once we get to team fights, but I think ideally you'd want it a bit earlier. Now we see that the Wukong has been beaten to this rotation for the beacon quite substantially by House, so I'm not too sure. It's still a big grouping here from both teams.
Yeah, this is a big 5v5 in mid, 12-minute mark for the beacon as Ares game has already used that Somersault Cloud. Hovering Death comes out, lands on Dookie. No mounted archery for Dookie to get out. Milo will be the one to pick up that kill, and looks like Melb's going to go down too. He falls to Ares, and House has got to get into the World Serpent, and Carter's just got to get out of there. We could be in a bit of trouble too, as the whole team of La Bomba are chasing him down right now. Gets the push off, and Chico will pick up that kill. That's 3 kills already for the La Bomba jungler.
Yeah, nicely played. we saw Efri head round to that lane before and pick up the beads of the Hachi, so it's good to see them capitalize on that. The Thanatos ult into the Hachi with beads down. It's clean.
Yeah, it's so odd seeing these days where, you know, 5v5s in middle lane 12 minutes in over this beacon. You know, some teams really show a lot of desire to take that little bit of a team buff. You know, and it's odd because I think early days of the beacon coming in, not a lot of people cared for it. You know, people weren't showing up to be maybe one, maybe two people who shouldn't be in the mid lane at that point who would show up. But I think in the last week or two, we've really seen, you know, 5v5s almost every single time. No one really looking at, you know, splitting the map or anything like that. Everyone just deciding to take a big old brawl on the beacon at 12.
Yeah, it is a bit of fun to play and just have a good team fight at that point in the game, but it does lead to games spiraling out of control. Like we just did see a 4-man wipe beacon into gold, so that's a nice lead for La Bomba. 2k, nothing to take too lightly.
It's still a pretty decent lead though. You know, maybe a bit of confidence gained as we see the mounted archery forced out of Dookie. I'm not too sure what happened there. Maybe expecting a gank to be coming. Maybe he thought that Milo had one of the boys rolling up. But I think it was just kind of Milo feeling himself there a little bit.
Yeah, he seems to be pumping damage out. He has taken trades so far in this lane, so Juki thinks that this Cern is down to brawl, so I don't hate the ult there. He doesn't want to have to burn beads if he gets caught in a 2 or a polymorph, so it's not a terrible play.
Looks like, however, it is the Pyromancer called. House is here. Here's a level 14 Serpent. The Bomber do manage to pick up the Pyro there. Somersault Cloud comes out of Ares Gamer, and so does the Hovering Death. Not too sure who the target is. It might just be a retreat call, and it looks like it is.
Yeah, La Bomba won't be very annoyed with that. They get the pyro and then just stroll away with no casualties.
God, I hate seeing that in the duo lane. You know, whenever you hit someone, you wait a second, you walk in a tower, and the tower still targets you. God, I hate it so much. Hang on, Chigo just blinks into a knock up from Carter, forces the beads. I think he's gonna get away here though.
Yeah, he got the heal from his scythe there. If not, he would have definitely taken a fall.
Yeah, good a bit of CC out of BGF on the back end of that. As we go back to duo lane, Milo he has amassed himself a little bit of a 2-level lead here. Did just see him use the Wild Hunt. I don't think he forced the beads. I could have sworn that we saw Deke use the beads or something. He must not have. Wild Hunt came out of Milo in that last little scuffle. Apparently didn't quite get anything though.
Yeah, it can be a bit tricky to catch someone with it. I feel like if you've got your combo on them, it's quite a securable ult. But if you're chasing someone down lane, especially a Hachi, he's so mobile in lane. So I think it's, I don't know, not the most far-fetched thing to imagine someone missing their Wild Hunt in lane.
Yeah, I did just notice on the little bit of the XP per minute there, Melbs has been falling just a little bit behind. Not a lot of player damage either. It's a bit of a quiet game from the BGF jungler as he has come over to the duo lane. And that is a dash in from Milo. He obviously hasn't expected this gank, and you have to assume he's going to fall to Melbs here. Good use of the Regurgitate to immune the Polymorph, gets the Aegis, and then gets the life. That is Melbs on the board for BGF. And that's a pretty good little gank, especially with Gold Fury coming up, and it isn't only Fury.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much from Melb so far, but that is, what more can you ask for in a gank? Relics, the most fed player on the enemy team, and an Oni. That's nice.
Yeah, it looks like House is in a bit of trouble over in mid lane. I'm not too sure how this has happened. He doesn't have that World Serpent, as the Cauldron from Yugi picks up the kill. You know, a bit of a good game here from Yugi. He is 2-0-4 on the Bubba Yaga. That Charon's coin is stacked, although probably from the Bubba passive with the houses. Great and forced out of Carter very, very early, as well as the home sweet home from Yugi, and mid lane is just trading ults here. No, he does not.
I think
either way, I think if you're BGF, you're still taking that trade. You know, you get the Oni Fury in trade for House. giving up his life. Obviously, you never want to see one of the boys go down, but you still definitely take that trade, I think.
Yeah, and all we needed in that duo lane for Dookie to catch up was one pick, and he's farmed his way up to probably still a little bit of a deficit, but even in levels. And now we see Efri coming over, possibly for a beads get. No, chooses to go back towards mid. He's going to run into this Bucker though, which is a little bit worrying if you're the Athena.
Yeah, the Regurgitate is back for Melbs as Athena has been caught out. A bit of awkward pathing there forces the ultimate. We'll go straight over to Yugi. Luckily, though, he's still in the area. But it is a little bit poked out now, the Athena, and it looks like the beacon will be going to BGF this time. One beacon each now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lead forming in the early game, but now the game seems to have come back to a bit more of an even state. There's not too many level disparities, apart from maybe 2 in support, which is actually in Wu's favor. So that's maybe not what we would have expected to see. Yeah, by gravity, and definitely not handing this game over. They want this seeding secured. So
Very, very good use of the Grand Ultimate. Carter actually manages to kill Efri.
Yeah.
That was quite unexpected, you know, bit of a dash in. See, the thing with the Athena, whenever you're dashing in, a lot of gods do struggle to kind of cover that distance as the Regurgitate comes out onto Chigo. Oh, huge scythe gets him back in to the game. He is up in that hovering death. Looks to be trying to chase down Melbs. I'm not too sure he will go in there. Lands on Carter instead. Gets both relics. Oh, it's a good couple of abilities. He doesn't manage to get away. Dookie will pick up the kill on the back end, though. It's a little one-for-one trade. A lot of ultimates, a lot of relics used here.
Yeah, I don't know if that trade's really worth it for La Bomba, though. We see the Thanatos farming very well, farming better than the enemy jungler, finding good picks, and then just decides to throw his life away for a level 16 Ishel. It's always nice to find both the relics, but I think maybe he overcommitted a little bit there.
It could be good if we can see him come back and, you know, make use of the fact that both of those relics are down for the next 130 seconds as House is going to take a blue buff to invade as the Pyromancer will fall to La Bomba. Dookie has a little attempt with the Heavenly Banner. Doesn't get any joy out of it though, and could just be a little reset the farming here. That gold lead's still only 2k, actually a little bit less at this point. It's more like 1500 in favor of La Bomba as Melbs is just going to sneak a bit of farm over in duo lane.
Yeah, I'd like to see Melbs just taking these split push options. Like, if someone tries to match him, I think he has a pretty good time into almost every enemy on La Bomba there. Like we see now. Oh, we get the Athena ult coming in as well. Hopefully he can hop down.
Look, I'm gonna. I see what Melbs was doing. I respect the idea. He was attempting to use the Regurgitate there to CC immune the landing from the Thanatos' hovering death. Unfortunately, ends up trading his ultimate for no real joy. To be fair though, Primal Fury has just spawned. Looks like La Bomba have the oracles, so they've got vision of this happening, but no one's even close. There's no way they can step into this.
Yeah, that's a give up. We saw the Ares didn't even blink, didn't even think of rotating there, used his bomb on that tower in solo, and is just looking for some of the enemy jungle. I think it's definitely not a bad option for La Bomba, but by gravity, I think that's what you love to see. Uncontested gold, and now Melbs is here just chunking.
Yeah, very interesting build from Melbs. I saw him kind of stick into Ares there. I was curious about what he was building. Wondered if maybe the hasten was already online. And I noticed he's got a charged bow, followed by the 1000-fold blade. I'm kind of curious about that. I wonder if maybe he's just gone for the charge bow for that initial passive, or maybe he got halfway through buying it before thinking maybe I should get hastened here and try and stick a little bit to my target. I'm not too sure.
I'm a charge bow enjoyer. I think it's a nice pickup, preferably earlier in the build. Like, as if, would you buy that on Kali?
Yes. The Odysseus bow, definitely on Kali. I think it's very good on her, although it does depend. I know for myself, generally, if I want a Magi's for that little bit of extra protection, I'll normally give up the charged bow to trade out for a serrated or something just to get the penetration. But if you're just going for that full damage, full send, then I think that Odysseus bow is probably one of the highest DPS items you can get, especially for an auto attacker. Obviously, no power in the build, but with the amount of attack speed it gives and that passive, the lightning chained through all the enemies does do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible pickup. What else would you really be buying in that? You'd be buying your Hasten in that position, or we might see the ult forced out here from Ares. That's a nice ult to have at the start of a team fight.
We see a few ults forced out here. Is Dookie onto the mouth at archery. Chico's
Thanatos
still in the
not gonna
area.
let them go.
He does
Nice
actually manage
pick.
to land onto Dookie, gets that kill, and the Defender Olympus comes in. It looks like Carter, though, is in a bit of trouble, gets separated from Weave. Not much you can really do there, and House has kind of just been stuck in the back of this fight the whole time, unable to get in. As Mel's blinks in, big regurgitate. The shell gets forced very early, and it looks like it's enough to keep everyone alive here. Just too much for the bucket to be able to do. Does eventually pick up Yugi. Chico trades on the back end of it, though. And, look, that was a great wrap around there from Melbs. He was in a really good position. Unfortunately, couldn't find the damage. The shell just too much as House has been caught lazy back, and Chico's not going to let that one go down. Thana passive really coming in clutch there to show that one. And
Yeah.
he will pick up his 8th kill of this game.
I think they've figured it out. How do you stop someone from, who notoriously goes too deep, from going too deep? Athena ult them. That way he's never too deep. He has his support.
Well, it looks
I like...
you're not wrong. Look, you're not wrong. It is good thinking. He does also have the upgraded Pridwin already at this point. Does Efri. Interesting pickup on the Athena. I do like it. You know, you're going to land in, you're going to have that big shield. Really help just to defend your teammates as the Fire Giant goes down to the Bomba 24 minutes in. Still not a huge lead, only 2.5k. So it will be interesting to see how this push goes. You know, a lot of people do normally say Fire Giant equates to about a 10k gold lead. As looks like the Beacon's going to go towards BGF.
I'd like to see a nice grouping here and just shove that Titan down. Perhaps look for a left tier 2 if you're on La Bomba. They have the advantage in this game. I think like hard grouping now would really cement this game for them. But we do see that perhaps the this Wukong still needs a little bit more farmer. He just ticked over to 20. But everybody else on La Bomba is 20. Quite a far ahead of BGF. They still have numerous members looking for that little bit more XP. So I think if they're to force their advantage here and just shove this left lane down, it will be looking very nice for them.
Yeah, really interesting about that Wukong. He's had that tier 1 talisman in his build the entire game. You know, rushed the Soul Eater, got that one online, started the talisman, and then got the prophetic cloak, and just decided not to go back to the talisman. So I'm
Keep
not
them on
too
their
sure.
toes. Keep them on their toes. I don't know what's
I'm not
coming.
too sure what's going on there. But look, I do like the idea about them grouping up here. I do think it's the time for La Bomba really to push their lead. I wouldn't mind seeing the Thanatos split off by himself. I think he is far ahead. He's going to be almost impossible for anyone to 1v1. He can always just use the hovering death to rotate straight over to the team fight. So I'd like to see him just kind of separate, which it looks like he is doing now. Because I don't think there's anyone that can really contest with him.
Seems there's going to be a defense put up here from BGF. Thanatos is getting at the Athena ult, which will give away his position, and the fact that it will give away Efri's ult as well, which is not what you want for the La Bomba side. He can't now just back an ult back in if he chunks a bit too much, tanking that tower.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what happened there. Maybe some miscommunication. Maybe Efri was expecting Chico to go in, as he does get the hovering death, but he is at the back of Phoenix here. Could be in a bit of a bad position. Ares Gamer sends it in with him though. Melbs manages to pick up that kill. The bird comes out. Never let him know your next move, as Ares Gamer could be in trouble here. No bird, no cloud. Gets pushed into the back by Weave. That will be the left. No, the left Phoenix is still up. They haven't got anything out of this. Melbs picked up another kill. And 2 members of the Bomber have just gone way too deep, forgetting about the objective. Never mind, they will get the Phoenix.
They should get this mid tower here as well, seeing that the Titan's still up and has to have some attention put towards it. But looks like no, they're just falling back for the reset. which is interesting. I thought they definitely could have got that mid tower there.
Yeah, I think a lack of discipline from La Bomba there. They had a great chance to even look at ending the game there if they'd, force out that bird, maybe take another tower, even the next Phoenix. Maybe, especially with Dookie going down, he hadn't died yet, but he was out of that fight. They could have just let him back reset, use that time to take the Phoenix, then move up to middle lane. Unfortunately, a couple of the gamers just get a little bit too excited. They will take a spill, but they do get the Phoenix in the end.
Yeah, and we can say that they maybe went a bit too far, but they gold lead's still up there. They've still got that like 3 point something, 3.8k gold lead. They still have the advantage. So if they can group now, get some really nice deep wards, this will allow Chigo to just play as aggressively as he wants. This fight, next Fire Giant should be game, really. If they can find picks with Thanatos on anybody, people perhaps warding before fire or looking to maybe step up for a steal if they have the positional and vision advantage, this could be a good avenue.
Hang on a second. Dookie could be in some trouble here.
Oh,
I
caught
think he
dash.
just caught the dash. Oh
Yeah.
my. Yeah, Chigo picks that one up. Real heads up to go and find Dookie. I'm not too sure what he was doing over in the door lane. It is Fire Giant time. I guess he was just trying to push out some of these waves. Either way, really good pickup to remove the ADC off the map for the next 45 seconds. As it looks like BGF are trying to take a fight. Melbs has just gone into the backline by himself. Never mind, Weave's in there with him. Melbs has managed to pick up Efri, but Chigo has made the rotation in and will pick up Melbs on the back end. It looks like a couple low health bars. Milo in a lot of danger. Weave's going to get that kill. Carter ducking and weaving around here. Manages to stay alive. Chigo's still looking around behind him here. Doesn't have the blink to close that gap. And that's a pretty good little turnaround there for BGF. Only losing one, taking two people off the map after losing their ADC. I think Pyromancer still goes the way of La Bomba. We can see that bomb there for Chigo. House now waiting for the Oni. I think it could be Fire Giant time.
Yeah, I like that fight from BGF. They see that arguably the most impactful member from the other team is in left lane, and they just click all their buttons and go for it. Like, we see Melb's doing so much damage. He's got that Odie bow online. He's got that Kins. He just chunks through people. And surprisingly, we saw the Baba Yaga having more success at level 2 than she is now. So maybe we need some of the players from La Bomba to kind of reel it back a little bit on these engages, because I don't think that the Baba is really like, oh, she is 30k damage, but she's not having as much kill influence as late, because there's so much distance between the front line and the back line.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like these fights are a little bit scattered. So it's going to be hard for Yugi to get in and get close. He is doing a lot of damage. Baba Yaga does do a lot of poke damage. I'm not too sure how much is going in the way of these fights. Oh, as we can see there, the poke damage coming out. Huge.
Yeah, it's
wipe.
a little bit.
It's pretty good damage. He just did 2,000 damage.
Yeah. Well, they do have the Ishel to heal up. I don't know if people really consider it, but Ishel's heals are crazy. She can heal so much. Oh, that's a good ult to force out.
Yeah, great end forced out of Carter very early, just by the scythe. As BGF have to be careful here. House obviously is in that left lane right now, clearing out fire waves to protect that Phoenix. And it looks like Chigo's the one zoning as Ares comes out, but Efri comes out too. No one on the FG. Looks like it has been leashed. And Weave might be the target, but it's, again, another split fight. Weave doing really well just to keep 3 people on him. As Dookie is in kill threshold, though. Oh, he breaks the ankles with a good juke back. The blink comes out, though, on the side. It's more than enough to take him down. Ares Gamer picks up Melbs on the back, and this could be danger for BGF. World Serpent has been forced, and Weave is getting really low here, and Chigo's going to come in and clean that one up. And I think these two are going to have to run here. House could be in a bit of danger. No World Serpent left to get him out. Taunt comes out from Efri, and it's more than enough for Yugi to pick up that kill. And it's only Carter now to defend the base, with that left Phoenix once again going down to fire waves.
Yeah, it was a bit ambitious, I think, of BGF to step that far up and contest that fire. We saw I'm pretty sure they had 1 member dead, and they had the ult expended from Carter that early. And we see House in the left lane. So stepping up that far against 5 strong from La Bomba. Pretty risky, and we see it doesn't pay off for them.
It definitely does not pay off as Labomba clean up the team fight. They get the deer side, and then they clean up the entire game. In 32 minutes, that will be game one to Labomba.
Yeah, damn. Nicely done. We saw that Thanatos kind of just get a little bit out of control. And I did say he needed a few kills really early in the game to kind of keep that snowball going, but he just found those picks late. He showed us that Thanatos can still do what Thanatos does. He can go up and just one-shot you from that hovering death. So nicely played by Chigo in that game. Ends it out 14-3. It's very nice.
Yeah,
And
we
yeah,
did say early on that it really comes down to them playing through this Thanatos. We needed the Thana just to get ahead, to get a big lead, and it's exactly what he did. And he just made it too hard for a lot of the members of BGF really to play through. And yeah, I think he kind of ran a lot of the game. A lot of these things just came down to the Thanatos picking up an early kill in these team fights. You know, I think the Thanatos along with the Athena, it was in the end a good combo. I didn't really see a lot of the Athena working with the other characters, but the Athena and the Thanatos working together, allowing the hovering death just to go into the back line, followed by the Protector Olympus, was a pretty good little combo.
yeah, I think Efri actually did very nicely. He was finding beads and finding ults from people. We saw him get beads off Juki before that beacon fight, and then that swung so hardly in La Bomba's favor because their ADC's dead at the very start of the fight because he's got no beads. And we saw him forcing the Ishel ult out on numerous times as well with his dash taunt. And yeah, I think Efri kind of facilitated what Chigo was trying to like that aggression because those characters having no beads and missing cooldowns, that's what you need as a Thanatos.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of lack of discipline for Dookie, especially on the side of BGF, that kind of just led to his downfall a little bit. He quite often found himself in awkward positions. You know, it shouldn't be often that the ADC is the one losing all of their health at the start of a team fight, and I think most times that was happening. I'm not too sure how he was managing to get hit by everything, you know, because a team fight would start with him getting low and Chigo going straight for the hovering death onto him. You know, maybe just needed to play back a little bit, play through his tanks, you know, work the backline a little bit better. So I think maybe a lack of discipline and, as you said, just constantly getting relics forced.
Yeah, I think outside of that performance, the only other real one that kind of didn't tick all of the boxes for BGF was the Yorm. We didn't see too much impact from the house there on that Yorm. We saw, yeah, 035. He did a fair bit of damage, but not having that impact that you really want and that people think that Yorm gonna has.
Anyway, that is game number one finished. We're just going to throw it into a video here, have a quick little break, and then we will be back for game number two. So hang around, as this set could get a bit spicy. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. Unfortunately, we don't have the exact picks and bans, same as we did first game, so we will just quickly breeze over what they have gone with, and it looks like quite a few changes on both sides here, which is surprising to see.
Yeah, I like I like the change ups. We see some picks didn't have a whole lot of impact for BGF. The Yorm swapped out and the Hachi, to name two. I think Tia is a great pick for having a good impact in team fights. X Ball, always a lovely pick to have. Turn the lights out, and then yeah, it's looking like a lot of changes have gone down. I think maybe BGF weren't too happy that they dropped that game there, and they looked for a completely different identity with their draft.
Yeah, I do agree. It is an interesting draft. I like the tier. I like them tier's ability to kind of disrupt. Um, I'm not too big a fan of the tier into the Kali. Obviously, the tier was picked first. When Kali drops that destruction and she's running at your backline, tier's not going to be able to do anything. Both feel unless he ults in the defense stance, because both fearlesses will go straight through the Kali and not affect her at all. So could make it really hard for BGF to shut that pick down if it starts running through the backline. And to top it off, they've picked the Ganesh here into tier, which is something I really like. I think Ganesh is one of those gods who has the ability to hold tier for a long time. That tier passive makes it so that he's only stunned for 1 second, maximum can't be any higher. That silence just stopping him from being able to run through a backline, that grab as well, which isn't affected by the tier passive. I do really like what La Bomba have brought here. They've taken the Hachiman for themselves and they've run back the Wukong as well, which I'm not too sure. I felt like it was relatively good. I think the laning phase was a little bit quiet. It seemed to do quite a bit in team fights though, and Merlin's just good area damage. So I really like what La Bomba have brought here.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice draft. I think there's lots of potential with that. The only question mark I've got is, yes, Merlin has good area damage and he can be good on siege, on defense, on objective, in general team fight. But I think if Tia and Sasano say so, he shouldn't really be playing the game. There's so much dive that that flicker can't handle just by itself. I think if the Tia just focuses the Merlin, he shouldn't really be able to have any impact.
Yeah, especially with the Tiamat as well. Even their mage is a bit dive. So when those lights get shut out by the Shubalonke, it's probably going to be really hard for the Merlin. I will say it's the only sort of question mark, but I have full faith in Yugi to pull it off. So I'm keen to see how these go. Uh, Moss though, if you have to give it to a team, which one are you giving it to right now?
Um, La Bomba. La Bomba's draft's better.
Look, man, I did say that we should be, disagreeing with each other. One person take each side, but I can't disagree with LaBomba's draft. I think that they should be the ones coming away with the win here and making it a clean 2-0. I think we should be ready to get straight into the game here.
Let's do it. We see the excellent draft that Boobas has created, so let's just see if they can pull it off.
Yeah, Bubas are really showing off their prowess as a coach. Beautiful drafts. Seems to be molding the boys the way that they see fit. I'm impressed with what Bubas has managed to bring to this team.
Sorry. Yeah. Um, I think the Maui is a good look as well. Kind of this full all-in dive is going to go so nicely with an X-Ball ult and a Maui ult. I think BGF have an identity with what they want to do. They just need to hope that they can find it. The Kali is going to be hard to lock down for the Maui. That huge mountain isn't going to do too much for her if she pops that destruction, as you were saying. That's the same story for the Tia. So I think if BGF can really coordinate their dive well and coordinate their CC, there is a good chance for them. But I think there is so much slippery damage on the side of La Bomba, so it's kind of the same boat. They just need to be able to coordinate when the enemy team's diving them, and if they can counter engage, that's a nasty counter engagement.
Yeah, really optimistic for the 3 camp pull there from BGF. I'm not too sure Maui X-Ball have the clear. Both of them took a fair bit of damage, lost about half their health. Quick little leap in from the Kali. Not a lot happening here though is look, I think that this is a really interesting draft. I do like the Maui. We haven't seen a great deal of him as of late. But it is a bit questionable into the Kali. So you're saying that giant mountain that he pulls out is immune by the destruction. So I do think that they're going to have to make sure that they're calling their CC really well, playing together as a team to shut this down. Otherwise, we're probably going to see a repeat of the Thana from game number 1.
Yeah, possibly could have. There may have been some other support picks that could have been better. Maybe something like a Kepri, or no, I was gonna say a Circuit, but a Circuit's just troll.
Circuit was also banned.
Oh yes, I think that's good to take off the table if you're looking to pick the Kali. Often, or some may say necessary to take off the table if you want to pick Kali. I think the Maui is fine though. He should offer a little bit for anyone who's getting dove. He can pop down that allure and give them the protections and move speed, and then stun as we just saw. So not the best, not the worst. I think that should give it a good amount of confidence for like someone like Carter or Dookie if they're being dove by NBA prospect.
So there was a little rotation there from NBA prospect over to duo lane, and that was a 3v2, and they pushed Dookie and Weeb all the way into the tower, and then somehow managed to give up defense buffers. The dash has been caught by Melbs, who has made the rotation in, and that's first blood. That was that's an odd little swing there. You know, La Bomba had the advantage. They had 3 people. They had the duo lane of BGF underneath their tower, and they somehow gave up the defense buff, allowed Dookie to push up, and then Melbs just comes in for a clean little gank and gets himself a pretty easy first blood.
Yeah, I think that may just be a little bit of the experience diff there. Like, you should be expecting that regank. I think most junglers will be trying to prioritize the shield buff on first spawn, and I assume that Yugi would have had eyes on that Susano going into left jungle. So I think the kind of counter gank from Melbs there was predictable, like not as in like all the enemy team should have been able to predict something like that. So
You should have had a little heads up about it.
yeah, I think that just shows the experience that Weave and Dookie have, regardless of not having played the lane together for too long, but they knew what they wanted to do with the map state at that point.
And interesting enough, they also had the green buff stolen away. Again, in the 2v1, just electing to give up the buff. The Bomba maybe just trying to play late. They know they don't need to do anything too crazy. They have 3 carries that will scale really well into the late game. Maybe just trying to play it a little bit more patient this game. If that's the case, I'm a big fan of that.
I don't know if patience is really the aim of the game for some of the players on La Bomba. They may be riding high off this. That's probably one of their first victory. I don't know how many games they've taken, but I assume that's one of their first victories this season. So I think that there may be quite a lot of confidence in the team at the moment.
Yeah, Yugi falls to Melbs and Beads forced. The destruction is still available for NBA prospect, but there's a lot of CC here, and he is going to fall to Carter on the end, and Dookie does die to a rotation of Efri into the duo lane, and
not grab immune.
Really
not grab immune in destruction.
No.
So,
yeah, you're not stunned immune, which the Tiamat pulls out there, and I think again I was just saying 2 seconds ago that I think patience needs to be the aim of the game, and there was absolutely no patience in that play from La Bomba. Just kind of gave 2 kills straight over. You can't let this Kali fall behind. Even the Merlin, he is going to scale really well into the late game. I think we've got that.
and I suppose what I was saying before in saying that the Maui does have enough in the kit to... Ooh, this is a nice game.
This should be a kill. The 3 is still on him. No, it's not. Melbs has the blink, but
shame.
accidentally takes a tower shot, so he can't get in there as the Lawbringer not really even close to hitting the target.
I'd say Melbs is done.
Yeah, he does have the blink. Oh, he does
that's
go for the
clean.
blink Typhoon.
Clean.
Yeah, really clean. Picks up the kill, but
Can he get the
NBA
back
Prospect
off?
is in the area. Does manage
he
to get the
catches the
land
back.
on him, and that should be a kill.
It's one of my favorite mechanics in the entire game is Typhoon blink past a wall, pull them back into your Typhoon. So much fun, so satisfying.
Yeah, it's a satisfying one to watch in general. It's a really good play. Unfortunately, though, he ended up giving a shutdown straight over to NBA Prospect. So after, pushing this Kali behind a little bit, kind of just gave it straight back up. And to kill the solo lane Wukong, I'm not too sure that's really worth it for Melbs.
You're a Susano enjoyer, right?
Oh, I do dabble in the God of the Summer Storm.
Do you think he should really be having this much influence at this point in the game, or he's more of like a mid game assassin, right? Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, look, he does play really well in the mid game. He scales well into the late. A lot of people, you'd have to expect that he's going to be able to, one-shot this Merlin late game. But Susano, if you hit the right combo, should be pretty substantial at almost any point of the game. He has gone for the Jotun's Rush, which is a very powerful start for a Susano. So yeah, I do think that it makes sense that he is being this influential at this point of the game. I just think he's got to try and keep it up. He can't trade the power that he has at this point in the game to a Kali who may not be as strong right now, but once she gets to late game will be quite a bit stronger, I think.
Yeah, this lead is kind of indicative of what you were just saying. We probably expect to see BGF kind of creeping ahead with some of the gods that they have, but it can't be held too lightly as there is picks on that La Bomba team that will just one-shot you late.
Yeah, I'd like to see NBA Prospect just stop the fighting. I know he just played the Thana, and Thana's really strong early game, and Thana wants to fight. He's playing this Kali now, who's going to scale into late. Doesn't do a huge amount of damage right now. I'd like to see him just go into the jungle, look for invades, make sure he secures his own farm. As you can see, the green buff here is stripped away. Once again, this is just going to hurt the Kali pushing into late game.
Yeah, and if we do see NBA Prospect kind of piloting this pick the same way he did the Thanatos the last game, I don't know how much success he's going to have just solo diving. He doesn't have that Athena to back him up. And picks such as like a Tier and a X-Ball might be actually pretty hard to catch.
Looks like that will be the Gold Fury taken away. Milo comes in just a little bit too late. BGF, pretty heads up call. Do manage to take that one off the map. Lawbringer Force on the other side of the map, out of the tier. I do like to see that. Obviously, I'm not too sure if they knew that the Gold Fury was going down either way, forcing something on the other side of the map. Generally the smartest play to do. Looks like it will just be a bit of a reset back to farm for BGF. Not a lot up to do.
Could be catching the Kali out on this rotation. Big rotation from... Oh...
Again, I said this just before. I want to see this Kali stop ganking. This isn't her powerful part. Holy, what a combo out of house. He managed to pick up Ares Gamer thanks to a Typhoon from Melbs through the wall. What a fearless. And he just earns himself a little cheeky double kill.
He's insane. Don't mess with him.
The tiers this season have just been doing it. Like they've been making the highlight plays all season. It's great to see.
Yeah, you shouldn't gank a tier under his tower. We saw Moxie have the same effect against Jack Martins, I believe, almost picking up a double from people diving him under tower.
Yeah,
House goes the full length and just picks up the double.
Yeah, I do remember Moxie doing that to him, so really good as Carter dives in. He's got no mana to follow up, and he could be in a lot of trouble here. Beads force, stomach pillars have come out. The grab is good. Carter somehow still alive though. The horrific comes out. NBA Prospect has dove in the tower. No one really there to punish him for it. As
And Melbs couldn't find the counter pick.
Yeah, it looks like he was going for Yugi, but that is the silence out of the Ganesh already. And the dash has been caught, followed by the mountain. I don't know how that didn't manage to pull him though. So I don't think it's enough damage. Ultimate used.
Oh my god.
Typhoon not quite enough as NBA Prospect really gone for this. He does have that destruction available.
I hope
looks
Melb
like a
has a
reset.
strong mental. That's 2 drop picks there.
Yeah, I can't believe that the Typhoon wasn't quite enough. He did fire it very early. If he gave it half a second more just to kind of charge, that would have been really good.
Oh, so much
Jeez,
damage.
this tier is just unten right now. I cannot believe the amount of damage coming out. I reckon he Lawbringers this. Nope, just goes in for the cleave. It's not enough.
a
Oh,
kill.
another good fearless though. Picks up the kill. Lawbringers away over the wall. What is this? What is this damage coming out of the tier?
That's spikes for you, man. It just offers so much for tiers early, and if you're going to be pressuring any kind of, I don't know, few buffs away from a tier, and when he's got this much of a lead, it's kind of dangerous. Like we saw that even on their own jungle, they're not even safe. The Kali just does not have the answer for that tier pressure.
Beacon spawning in 20 here. Not a great grouping just yet. Looks like BGF are trying to pour something into a lane first. Melbs is standing on a ward though. Does catch the Heavenly Banner out of Milo. House has made the rotation in though. Aries Game is still in base. Might be about to TP in as he does. Likes to TP to the ward. But Efri is
catching this Ganesh out.
Yeah, Ganesh getting caught out, but Milo also being caught out. Dookie's already used this dash. I don't think he's going to survive here from the Carl. It should be a pretty easy kill. It looks like Efri will fall on the other side, and BGF are going to get the beacon too. Aries Game is not quite finished yet. Positions himself well, gets away in the Ox.
Yeah, possible shines of what Melbs was trying to do last game, where he'd get that gank off before the beacon spawning, try and burn a relic off the enemy ADC so they can go into that beacon well. But I think I would have rather see the Kali go to that beacon fight. We saw the team up just jumping in and not being punished for it. So maybe if NBA Prospect kind of forgot that gank, he did pick up the kill, but he could have had maybe a bit more of map influence.
He's going for the cheeky door gang. I love this.
Oh.
He's taking a lot of damage for it.
He
Destruction
could get
used.
this.
Dookie must have dashed out
Good
of base.
Aegis. Good Aegis.
Weave's like, you've done well to survive. Here, let me take that kill off your hands.
God damn.
Look, I know what you were saying. I was gonna say I actually really liked what the Kali did. I like the fact that he went and rotated into the duo lane, took a 1v1 instead of trying to take these team fights on tanks. Got the farm as well, but then instantly threw it down the drain.
Yeah, not even the highest caliber of Oceanic competitive Smite is free of a corner bait on Phoenix.
I mean, it really shows you one thing: you cannot dash out of base. I do love the gank. I will admit, I'm just not a fan of the overcommit. But at the end of the day, Weave ends up taking that kill, so you're not too upset with it. Probably not the person you want that XP going to, especially when we have seen what Dookie can do. So it's probably better to get it onto your ADC as a gold lead coming out here. BGF trying to push into that 3k. And it looks like maybe another gank. No Aegis for Dookie. So very hard to stay alive during the entire phase of that destruction. But gank doesn't come through. It looks like there could be the Gold Fury instead.
Yeah, I like that ward that they've got for the order side, just above gold there. Oh, Melb's taking the fight to the Kali.
There's the Dummic Pillars, which will force the beads out of Melbs. And a reset coming out now. We've just trying to scuffle a little bit.
As Dookie though, he's under the tower.
Dookie obviously has his minimap disabled right now. Doesn't realize that there's a fight in the jungle right next to him on his own side.
Don't
He's
worry, he'll
going to
ult.
fall here. Chico will pick that up. Dookie maybe needs to turn the second monitor on here.
Look, I admire the cojones that man has for just bringing it to the enemy with no relics, no vision, no team. But someone's got to do it.
I mean, he had vision. His whole team was fighting the enemy team at the Gold Fury on their side of the jungle, and my guy's just standing in front of Tier 1 tower.
Why not, you know?
But rightly punished. Looks
The
like,
house in a nice position here, though.
yeah, he does have the angle here. Looks like La Bomba are going for the fight, and what
Oh my
was that
god.
interaction? I think that was the, is that the bubble followed by the back shot from the Tiamat as the house sends the Lawbringer into the back, lands on the Carly. There's a lot of damage coming out here. The island kind of separates the fight a little bit, and Milo gets super low. Melbs does have the damage. Looks like Melbs, oh, he teleports to the slipstream. What a play. Dookie manages to pick up NBA prospect. Looks like on a 1v1 in the back line. No destruction as it was used to get Dookie in the previous kill. Melbs gets a double kill. And what just happened in this fight, Moss?
I think we saw just a huge impact from the house there. He utilized his whole entire HP bar. We saw Jay Beto last week saying that people need to ignore tier, but everyone ignored tier, and he just cleaned up. That team fight started out so well, finding so much damage onto the Hachi, and then great team play from the rest of his team to back him up. But I think House's rotation there was really nice.
Yeah, look, I've been on the train of just ignore the tier, okay? Just leave him. Just focus on the other carries. But look, honestly, the tier is so hard to kill. He does so much damage, and he's got so much mobility, and that Fearless can really just shut down a character for a long amount of time. So it's a tough one. I don't think La Bomba was expecting that La House to just kind of go turbo nuclear like that.
I like to see the attempt of the Pyro pick up there in response from La Bomba, but just not in time. I think their burn is a little bit lackluster. Like, it's not lackluster burn in general, but from that kind of pickup point, it's just not enough time. Even though they have a Merlin and a Carly, they just can't get it.
A bit of a quiet one actually out of Yugi this game. We haven't really been talking his name too much. As Dookie once again pushed really far up. Very, very late beats. He's decided to take the 1v1, but unfortunately there are no 1v1s in Smite. Dookie will fall after Milo rotates in with that mounted archery, and Dookie kind of suffering a little bit on the fact of a lack of patience almost, as BGF will trade out the Pyromancer, will pick up that bomb. Hopefully they can look at pushing a little bit with it.
Now, the rest of his team, though, playing very well. It just seems that there's a little bit of a hemorrhage in their lead just coming from this, or in their progression as a whole from this duo lane. Dookie just doesn't seem to be on the same page. He might be thinking, oh yeah, my team's so far ahead, I'm just going to push my advantage and play really far up, but it's just having the negative effect. Kind of not letting them just push these advantages. We see Overthinking Hooper just took a tier 2 and left.
Yeah, he has taken that tier 2, but the rest of the team is looking for this beacon fight. BGF doing their best to try and take it, but they're all getting punished a bit here as that Mountain comes out, brings in probably the two people you don't want to bring in, forces Dookie to retreat out with that dash, and Carter's got a very awkward angle here. Could be in a bit of trouble, but he's getting some good damage off, as it looks like Carter's just going to keep sending it here. Leaps in to the back line. He's almost killed Efri, but it looks like it will just be a retreat.
I love tier map players, man. I think they're just like playing 1v5 Matrix jump in simulator. It's great. Something I did want to touch on though is that we did mention at the start of the set that we saw this role swap. I think Overthinking Hooper has actually played very well. We haven't had any comments on him having an underperformance from duo, and he's actually been bringing it to Dookie, who's had more experience than him in ADC.
Yeah, I think Milo's just playing the role really clever. I think that's kind of the difference. You know, I'm not too sure if Dookie's just taking advantage of the fact that his opponent's not as experienced in ADC and just kind of playing a little bit more aggressively than he normally would. But I do think that Milo's just kind of letting him do it. He's playing back, he's playing with his team. I think that's the important bit, is that he's playing defensively, he's waiting until his team are in a position, and then he's forcing Dookie to do something that isn't too clever, and his team are just rotating in and capitalizing on it.
Yeah, I think he may have realized that Dookie's minimap is off, so he's just calling NBA prospect over anytime he steps up past halfway on the map.
Yeah, anytime he really steps up, NBA prospects right there to clean up. I think Yugi's even made a couple of rotations, and so has Efri. So really heads up. Unfortunately, though, it's not quite getting them into this game. I think they maybe need to try and shut down this team out a little bit. Carter currently level 18, starting to get that build online. Looks like he's going for an E-Staff. I think once that's online, he's going to really start slapping. He's going to be very hard to kill. So I think maybe a bit of attention needs to go away from this duo lane now. Focus on the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think that the Wukong would be having a bit more of a better time if he had that tier 1 magical defense, but he's kind of struggling to find as much of an engage as he'd like.
Iduki manages to turn the lights out, but only momentarily before he does fall to NBA prospect. Melb's being forced out a little bit. A good mountain though, drags 2 people in, followed by the Fearless. Milo tanks a little bit of the tower. He's getting really low here. A blink in from Melbs will clean up that kill. Typhoon knocks up Efri and Ares Gamer. Looks like it will be a double kill. It's a huge double Fearless out of their houses. It won't be the double kill. It will be Garda who gets the second one.
Yugi's full HP.
Yeah, House is still not done here. Yugi is putting in the hurt. And Weave's sending it into the backline. Yugi will use that flicker to 2 reposition. A lot of low health bars, a lot of low mana bars, and it could just be a reset. I don't even think Pyromancer's on the cards here.
My Melbs wants in.
Oh, he catches Yugi. That is the beads. Beads way too late though, and Yugi gets away with 100 health. A small little sliver. Oh, that's a lot of damage. It's a good play. They manage to get the beads. They don't get the kill though, and they will take the win.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Melbs on this Susano. He seems to be just doing a lot of damage, finding good engages. I'm not sure if that's one of his signature picks, but yeah, it's having a very nice performance this game.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Susano is a bit of a signature pick for Melbs. I've seen him play this character a lot. And he normally does play it pretty well. You know, Melb's one of the more mechanically skilled players in the league. So betting him on a pick like the Susano, I think, is always a really good option. He has got that Magi's online now. You know, I'm not a great big fan of the Magi's into Ganesh. He does do really well at just removing Magi's free with that silence, but you probably shouldn't be in a position as the jungler to be getting silenced unless you're committing. So I don't hate it too much. It's just a bit unfortunate in that matchup as...
Man, I would have loved to see a fire pull there from Egypt. No vision from La Bomba on the right side of the map. Their entire team full rotates to gold, and they had their entire team in mid. That would have been an awesome opportunity for a little fire sneak.
Yeah, maybe not 2 heads up from BGF. I don't.
They would have sat in mid.
Yeah, it would have been nice. They didn't even see the tier 1 tower go down for that. As Melbs gets caught out in the jungle here. Doesn't want to lose that Magi's. Dharmic Pillars comes out though, but a little bit too late. Tier 1 tower falls down. I think maybe could have held on to those pillars there.
Yeah, and seeing as a team with a bit more experience, I would have expected to see something more than just sitting in middle and kind of half pressuring a tower on that full team rotation from the other side. They seem like now they're heading towards this right lane, going to try and just start taking a few towers off the map. Personally, I'd like to see them just bolster their vision even further around the fire pit and then look for some picks from the jungle, lead them into a nice fire.
It looks like it will be the tier 1 in solo, as the core house is already half health. 2 leaps come over the wall. We've caught in a bit of an awkward position. That Contagion proccing a little bit, actually doing some work. This Wukong dishing out a bit of damage here. But it looks like it will just be a reset. Not too sure if there will be a little fight here, a little bit of a scuffle.
I think this Wukong will be having a bit of a difficult time diving this Tiamat though. The way that the house and Melbs will have this impact affecting the Merlin. I don't think he's going to have the same affecting the Tiamat. Like, he doesn't have any magical defense, and this Tiamat has an E-Stuff online, has that HP, should be chunking him. So perhaps some more itemization for Ares before they can really have that same impact that the house is having.
Yeah, hopefully his house, speaking of impact, does get the wraparound. Manages to force the Aegis and the Dharmic Pillars out. The Aegis from the Merlin, the Dharmic Pillars from that Ganesh. As, yeah, look, House is doing so much work here. He's currently 3-0-5. just forces the entire enemy team back, picks up the beacon for his own team, finds a Tartarus, no more. And the Titans are about to walk down solo lane. And look, the solo lane's a bit of an awkward one because obviously with those Titans pushing, you can look at trying to split the map. You know, maybe if the Titans come out, they could look at just pushing down one of these other lanes and then just taking a Fire Giant. While, you know, La Bomba are trying to destroy the Titan. But I think with it going in solo, are you expecting just to see a 5-man grouping here as Dookie is caught out? Beads is used, but House blinks into the back line. Aegis comes out as well. Good stun from Weave to keep the Kali stuck there for a second, and she will end up falling.
Huge
Dookie is going to trade his life. Big Island comes out. It is a 1v1. 1-4-1, sorry.
I think it was relatively early though. The Titans haven't even arrived in the lane really yet. So this early scuffle could be volatile for either team who loses it. It could just spiral with a whole lane push.
Carter just leapt straight into the middle of 4 people at La Bomba and not only is he not getting punished, but it looks like La Bomba are the ones who get punished. No Somersault Cloud available for Ares Gamer. He does fall. Titan is here now, but with it being a 3v4, Melb's looking at the back line. This could be a cheeky little couple kills here, and they have to be careful because it could be a Fire Giant if it goes too badly. House does have the TP, but a Heavenly Banner from Milo will stop that.
Yeah, this is risky from La Bomba, but I'm not even sure if they have any idea what's about to happen.
Yep, House has gone out. Looks like he will be TPing to that ward at the tier 1. Melbs has already picked up Yugi. Lawbringer over the wall, good double stun. Change into the offensive Fearless. Picks up Efri as well. Big play. Out of House on the tier.
That should be FG.
Yeah, it looks like they're probably just going to clean up the Titan. Maybe look at the FG here. It is only NBA Prospect online for La Bomba. Ares Gamer not too far away. But Dookie is full health and so is House, and it looks like it will be the Fire Giant.
TP is such a good item, man. I love it that I get to build that in my role. That's so fun. Everybody thinks you've backed, but then you literally just teleport across the entire map and just gank everybody.
You're telling me you don't like to have Beads Aegis on every single character you play?
Couldn't be me.
Fire Giant is the callers. Speaking of the teleport, Ares Gamer does teleport into the back line. As NBA Prospect decides to go in, doesn't have the chance to get the ultimate off, as I think the Fearless picked him straight up. House is going to take that kill. 4-9 now. BGF will get the Fire Giant. Melbs will pick up another kill. 8-1 and 8 for him. And it really is just this solo jungler just running the game for BGF right now.
Yeah, I think...
Titan's still up.
Yeah, I think this should be a very comfortable push. Nice stomach pillars there to kind of section off the team, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it is a good Dharmic Pillars. Unfortunately, though, this is 4 strong in the solo lane, all with Fire Giant. Dookie's going to make light work of this tower as Melbs is elected to split off, and the Lawbringer into the back. Efri gets caught with the stun. And the Fearless into the wall. It looks like the stun comes out as well. Dookie will pick up that kill, but that's a lot of damage traded back from Yugi. Melb's unable to take this tier 2 tower just yet, and it looks like it could be time to strip the farm from La Bomba and look at maybe helping him out.
Yeah, I think this is just night and day from last game for La House. I didn't think he had too much impact. Oh, we see the engage here from NBA Prospect. The blink and jump and beads and ult. And he cannot find the pick.
Yeah, just really good CC. We were saying that it's going to be hard for them to peel the Kali this game, but BGF are making it look easy. You know, I think Weaver's had a lights out game so far in this Maui. You know, we haven't had a lot of time to talk about him. Sometimes it's hard to talk about a support, but Weaver's having a fantastic game. He's 2-0-16 on this Maui. He's really kind of running the show, and he's just making sure that no one on his team is in danger of dying.
Ooh, Melbs might be caught out here. A bit of over-aggression. Forces the beads out.
Yeah, elects to use the beads when he has a Magi. It's an interesting decision.
And the enemy team has no CC.
Yeah,
I respect it.
Beadsing the slow, maybe?
The slow that was about to happen. Okay.
Oh, no, mounted archery is down, but it's not down long enough that it could have been that. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Just respect it.
Either way, the respect beads comes out. Dookie trying to do the Primal Fury by himself. Doesn't pick up the Purple Buff, bro. What are you doing? Dookie, it's right there.
No, that's inefficient.
Dookie. Homie decides to do the Primal Fury without the purple buff attack speed. Either way, oh, good ultimate coming out of Weave. Forces the mounted archery from Milo.
This is good reaction time though from the Hachi.
Yeah, look, Milo, the slash line doesn't show up, but he has had a really good game so far. Looks like though the grouping for this tier 2 tower will be good enough. That tower falls and Carter appears to be the one who's splitting off to push middle lane here. The other 4 members of BGF all grouping up. A little bit of time left on this Fire Giant still. Should be about another minute. They can look at trying to take a Phoenix off the map.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think I'd prefer to have that Tiamat in the team.
Yes, I'd probably put Melbs over on the split push, as it looks like
Oh,
the team are just
bomb.
going to go straight to mid. The double bomb.
I'm really good at double bombing. I definitely didn't double bomb a dead Phoenix last week.
I definitely didn't see it happen.
Yeah, okay. At least we're on the same page.
Middle Phoenix though does go down to a very good double bomb. And Weave trying to push in here so that Dookie can get a bit of space to hit the Phoenix. Already half health. Melb's taking the 1v1 with NBA Prospect.
It was a good incense from the Kali to just snuff that out before it could even start. But we see this impact from the tier is just happening again, over and over.
Melbs does pick up the Kali though. Oh, it's a good bit of damage coming out of this Merlin. Yuki had a really good game so far. He's putting the CC in the correct place.
Oof.
Unfortunately though, he's not putting his life in the correct places. He does fall down to Carter, a little bit out of position. And Melbs is rotated in and just dealing a bit of damage. Ares Gamer goes in for the Tiger. No Somersault Cloud available. You have to think he's going to fall here too. This could be a deer side. This could be a game. Good Island. Comes out of Weave and that will be game loss. Well, looks like we're heading to game number 3.
Yeah, I thought this La Bomba draft would just outshine the BGF draft late, but it's quite the opposite. We see numerous just simple picks coming out from BGF that just kind of snowball on that siege. The mid pick from Melbs onto the Kali, and then just so much impact on the siege from La House just made that easy.
Yeah, look, I think game number 1, BGF kind of played into the strength of La Bomba, allowed them to play their comp the way it needed to be played. Game number 2, though, BGF, I wouldn't say allowed La Bomba to play their comp, but, well, actually, I think they did kind of allow La Bomba to play their comp. It's La Bomba themselves that didn't quite play the comp the way it needed to be played. You know, we didn't see the Kali farming up early. We saw way too many ganks, way too many dives. I didn't see Efri protecting this Merlin enough. He just kept kind of throwing those Dharmic Pillars out willy-nilly to defend things, you know, like half health tier 2 towers against 4 people with Fire Giant. And I think Ares Gamer was just a little bit absent that game. You know, I think Milo and NBA Prospect both had really good games. Good patience out of Milo especially to really just kind of force Dookie into bad positions, and good from his team to play off that. But, you know, I don't think I need to see a change up in these drafts. I think I just need to see a change up in the way the draft is played.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I think we might just throw it to a short break here before we get into game 3. So stick around and we'll be back shortly.
All right, welcome back, guys, to Smite OCL in our final set of the season, in the regular season, I should say. And look, Moss, it's getting spicy here. We are going to game number 3.
Mm-hmm. We see the Homoja coming out for La Bomba. I think that's a nice pickup. We know that Efri has that in the bag.
Oh, speaking of, actually, I've just seen this La Bomba, the double hunter. They've got the Hebo in the jungle. I would say the Chiron though. What do you think about this Chiron pick?
I honestly could not tell you. I have not seen a Chiron or played Chiron in quite a while. I think he still has a similar identity to what you really want out of like those kind of mid hunters that we've been seeing, like the Marty, and we saw an AMC pop up. But I think Chiron still should have that more ability focused kind of prowess that those characters have. So I think it's not a bad pick. And Karen's always nice to have. It's good against the actual BGF comp if we want to kind of pivot
Oh,
that way.
I've just looked at the VGF comp and there's a horse. Oh, dude, there's a Lancelot. Oh, mate, I'm excited. I'm a huge Lancelot fan. It'd be in like my top 3 favorite assassins. Not even that I think he's strong. I just love playing this guy. I love his whole kit. I love everything about. I'm so keen to see Mel's play this. I didn't even notice that. Oh, mate.
I do like the comp as a whole. We saw House have such success on the tier. They go back to it. They pick the counter pick, even though they first picked Yamoja for La Bomba. And a very potent hunter in Ram. And then I think Carter should be able to pilot the Yu Huang as well. So I do like this draft.
Yeah, I like the change up from the bomber to ban the Tiamat. I've said for a long time now that Tiamat is just Carter's best pick. He always looks really good on it. Um, I'm not too sure about the Yu Huang. Not even that I think it's bad or anything. I don't know anything about it right now. I haven't seen Yu Huang in a little while, so I'm a bit interested to see how good he still is. I do like it into the emoji, the ability just to kind of float over those walls when the Rivers Rebuke comes out. But yeah, House getting this tier again is absolutely criminal in my opinion.
I'd have to agree. I think Carter's Carter has those classic picks, but we see he has a lot of prowess on those more recent majors, like the Tiamat, like the Ishel. So I think the Yu Huang should be in his wheelhouse. Um, I think although there is such good dive with there is that tier again, the Chiron does have that cleanse. We do have the Emoja to try and get them out of jail free. And if they are overcommitting into this comp, there will be a Hebo with a crushing wave ready to. Whoa.
Oh, what was
Am I
that again?
wrong? Am I
I
wrong?
didn't hear that last bit. What was that again?
No,
Ugh.
we can keep that for another time.
Uh, well, I will admit one thing that I do like that has been changed up is the Ganesh pickup for BGF. Not at all anything bad about the Maui. I thought we've had an outstanding game on the Maui. You know, a bit of an unsung hero for BGF. But I do like that they have gone for this Ganesh. I think Ganesh is in a really good spot right now. You know, he's so powerful in a team fight. You know, those Dharmic pillars, the shred, the slow, even just the ability just to separate a fight. And then yeah, I think with this Lancelot as well, I'm so keen to see Melbourne come in. He's just gonna slurp up those kills like a big old bowl of noodles. And let me tell you, I'm a big fan of noodle.
I'm leaning towards that BGF draft that we've been talking so highly of. But what about yourself?
Look, it's tough. It's tough. But I'm gonna have to give it to BGF purely for the fact that they have a Lancelot.
Fair. Let's head into this game and see how it plays out. I would
Getting
like to
straight.
say that. Sorry, I would like to say that I do like this Guan Yu pick. I think Ares has kind of not been having as much of an impact as he'd like to be having on the Wukong, and maybe struggling to engage and get in there a little bit. But if you're struggling to engage, pick a Guan Yu.
Yeah, Guan Yu such good engage with that cavalry charge. You know, I think we've seen Ares play this a little bit. Oh, was that a VEL? Is that a
All right.
DQ?
So
B-
good game.
BGF
We're
win?
heading into the we're heading into finals next week, so just tune in.
Is we didn't get to really point it out, but it is the car in mid. Looks like there is a bit of a pause though. Not too sure what's going on here. Maybe a Melb's DC. Look, getting back into what I was saying, interesting about this Chiron. We haven't seen a great deal of it. I think a lot of the hunters have been so strong with that same build, you know, that Devo's Gauntlet, Executioner Chins. So seeing a Chiron come out, he's more of, as we can see in the build path there, the Bluestone Transcendence kind of hunter. You know, I'm not too sure
That
how I
build,
feel
that
about
build
it.
still pumps.
Yeah, okay. If it still pumps, I'm keen to see it come out. So, to be fair, I'm a big fan of Chiron.
Yeah, same.
Chiron, for a bit of knowledge, Chiron was the first hunter I ever got diamond.
Thanks
back
for
in the
that
PS4 days.
information.
Yeah, a little bit of information for the boys. So, a big fan of the Centaur. Let me tell you what I'm not a big fan of. This Ganesh skin. I hate the plushie skin. I can't stand it. Everyone plays it.
Have you seen him roll in the ball?
Yeah, I've seen him roll. Not enough for me to like the skin. God, I'm just not a fan of it. I don't know why, man.
I like the Ganesh skin that's the... Oh, damn.
Lancelot, first blood. Melbs gets on the board. He takes down NBA Prospect. Bit of awkward positioning there. He is playing the Hebo. I don't think he has to be that pushed up. But the Lancelot does punish him. And Melbs will pick up first blood, I think, for the second time. I'm pretty sure he got it first game too. Oh, sorry, game number 2.
Yeah, I'm not sure. 1 minute into the game, all of Hebo's abilities are ultimates yet, so he needs to position a little bit more safely, I think.
Tell you what, who else needs to position a bit safely is Ares on this Guan Yu's house, picking straight up where he left off in game number 2 and just kind of bringing the hurt to his opposing solo laner. As Melb's still in the area, and NBA Prospect once again just not acknowledging the fact that he's a level 2 mage, and this is a Lancelot. Lancelot has a relatively good level 2, level 3, you know, has 2 dashes in that one. The knockback does provide a lot of damage and a good bit of CC, and although Carter did miss the ability, there is the root as well coming out of the Yu Huang, and he takes another spill.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see. You really want your Hebo to be getting his abilities online as soon as you can. Not having that Atlas of the Yellow River, trying to team fight, not what you want to see. I think, obviously, Hebo is extremely potent late, but if you can keep him down long enough, I think there's enough time for your team to just gain an advantage and just squash that bubble, squash the what's the word I'm looking for? I forgot the word that I'm looking for. Impact.
There we go.
Watch the impact that he's gonna have. Sorry, I blanked.
Well, looks like House is going for a bit of an invade. Unluckily for him, though, NBA Prospect is on the ball here. Does pick that up. Ares Gamer wasn't able to get in range of the XP, so it's a bit unfortunate for him. I have to assume we're probably going to see him fall behind just a little bit here. Does have the TP, though. Looks like he has already upgraded at least one stage.
Yeah, it's a good play in solo. If you think you're gonna have trouble in lane against someone with a lot of pressure, you get forced out early. You should be upgrading your TP on your first back so you can get them off more often.
There's a good stun out of Efri. A little bit slow on the reaction time from Milo. So we will duck away. Looks like he tried to invade the purple by himself. I'm not too sure what was going on there. Interesting enough, though.
And what do you think this Lancelot is really going to be looking to do? He can have an impact at all points in the game. But is there anybody on the enemy team he might have a particularly good time diving?
Yeah, look, straight into it. He's really good into Hebo. Obviously on the dash, he doesn't care too much. I mean, as we see it right there, he doesn't care too much about what it is that Hebo wants to do. A bit of a immobile mage, you know, outside of that crushing wave. Hang on, we'll get back to that. As we've caught in a bit of an awkward spot. Efri with the good rivers with you, but the damage isn't there. Mounted archery isn't enough.
Oh, he finds it.
But the heavenly banner is. And he does pick up that kill, but Dookie's looking to take the 2v1. Does still have the astral barrage, but likes not to use it. So as we get back to the Lancelot question, because I love talking about the horseman. Yeah, really good into Hebo. the ability just to kind of slap the mage around. You do have a massive health bar when you're on the horse, which is kind of good. You're not going to instantly die to a Hebo with that long range 3 water spout. And the only real CC that Hebo brings besides the knockup is, which by the way the horse is immune to, is the slow, which the horse is also immune to. So with the ability just to go into like that jousting field and just fly across the map, he does have a really good matchup here. I think though he has a bit of an awkward matchup into both of these hunters, kind of struggles to stick to them, so I have to assume that we will see the Lancelot focusing the Hebo for most of this game.
If I'm on BGF, I'd be fine with that, taking him out of the game. Hebo will kill you if he's left unchecked, so I hope that Melbs can just stay on top of that.
What needs to be taken, stay on top of is this weakness in the solo lane right now. Ares Gamer, every time we look over, is below about 30% of his health bar. House is really just giving him the shtick right now.
Yeah, Tia is infamous for the amount of pressure he can generate in lane. So much ability to just do damage and clear the wave at the same time. There is a bit of a... It technically should be a good matchup for the Guan Yu because he can just immune with his 3. But we're seeing that the house has really warmed up on this tier from last game and is really feeling himself. He's just sending it down this lane pretty hard.
Yeah, maybe some awkward positioning coming out of Ares Gamer. Is that look like the mounted archery in the background? Dookie goes in the Astral Barrage, and Milo hasn't caught on to the fact that there is a horse here. Beads used early to immune that knockback, but the double dash is more than enough, and Melb's really getting online with this horse. He's in a bit of an awkward spot. Does have the jousting field, as he will use that to get away. He's going to take the kill. But hang on a second, he may not be done yet. Ganesh is here. Dark Pillars are up. Doesn't look like he can defend the buff. NBA Prospect now in a bit of an awkward spot. Crushing Wave comes out. It's not enough damage though. As the Dancing Dragons comes out too. Doesn't find any joy. Weave still not done here. It looks like neither is Carter, as he's positioned a little bit awkwardly. Gets the shell out of Efri. And just a bit of a circus here.
Yeah, it was good to see that Melbs got that purple buff before he made the gank onto Hachi, but couldn't secure his own. Nice team rotation there from La Bomba, and BGF's team rotation just couldn't match it.
Yeah, I think that's still pretty good for Melbs though. He'll take that any day. He gets an invade, he gets a kill. Obviously they lose the purple buff on the back end.
But he didn't fall.
He didn't fall though, and that's the important thing because it is starting to get to a pretty decent shutdown. He is 4-0-0 on the horse. And, you know, not really laying up on the farm either. He's getting good rotations. He's doing it when the farm is down. And he's looking for invades when he can too. And I'm really impressed with Melbs in this game.
Yeah, I think the Lancelot pick is a real momentum pick as well. If you're finding these kills early, you can have such a good time just jumping on people. That one is so potent as well. So I'm actually keen to see if Melbs can keep this pressure up.
Yeah, looks like he may be going a little bit too over the top here. Bit of an awkward invade there. Has to use the jousting field to get away. Does, however, force the River's Rebuke. His house is now here, and God, he's dishing out some damage on this tier. Looks like the boys in La Bomba are dishing the damage back, though. House still has a Lawbringer. It gets away. He yoinks the invaded blue buff on the way through, and that will be a reset.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. We're seeing full team rotations to both side lanes for their buffs. Like, I like to see that the teams are on the same page and kind of following and noticing where the enemy is on the map. It's good to see. Not something I necessarily would have expected out of La Bomba.
Looks like there's a bit of a decent lead, however, coming from BGF. Starting to scrape on the bottom end of 3K. XP lead around the same. I think most of that is in the jungle, maybe a little bit in mid lane as well.
If you're on La Bomba, would you prefer to see these rotations being matched, or would you rather see the opposite side of the map be pressured in response?
Look, I think it's a bit hard to pressure the opposite side of the match with the team comp La Bomba have picked. They picked more of a team fight with this double hunter and the Hevo. They're not really looking to invade or to rotate. I think they want to just try and pressure for late game. You know, their team fight is pretty substantial. I think BGF are going to struggle to get in You know, although the horse is really good at just kind of making these quick drive-bys, he struggles a lot when there's so much damage pouring out. You know, even though there's not a lot of CC that can take Lancelot off the horse, a lot of damage really quickly will do it. And I think that with the double hunter hero, the Bombers should be able to do that late game. So I think if they just can play patiently, play to their comp, try not to give up too much, they should be able to win this late.
Definitely. In response to that, though, I'd love to be diving a backline on Lancelot with a fed tier as my dive partner. I think that synergy in their backline dive will be awesome.
Yeah, it is a bit fun to dive into a team like this, but if they are switched on La Bomba and they can kind of all turn around very quickly, then it will be a bit hard for him, as Dookie's doing really well here to bait Milo up. He does have the horse, so does Lancelot. The horse has been used early. Melbs elects to not quite dive. They're just going to take the mounted archery and call that a win. So it could be Gold Fury called.
Do you think that's one of the reasons we've seen people kind of going to Hachiman in the last few patches? He did get that buff, but maybe people have just realized that he's so safe in lane with that mounted archery. He can escape and shut down gaps. I think despite his buffs as of late, that's also a very nice part of his kit.
Looks like it is the gold call, and yeah, it is a really strong part of his kit. But it does require getting to this late game team fight. There's a little bit of a patient call to wait for the blue buff here. It does look like I don't hate the call. We can't let this tier keep free farming the way he has been. That is good damage onto him. Bit mixed on the idea of whether they want to go in or not, but BGF are rotating with this blue buff the longer it takes.
Yeah, and the emoji does have the River's Rebuke ready, but it just seems like it's going to peter out.
Bit of a reset here. The beacon's going to be up in 20 seconds, and look, I think that La Bomba should be grouping for this beacon. As you were asking before, if La Bomba should be matching these rotations or fighting on the other side of the map, I think that the beacon is where they should be trying to fight around. They've got these double hunters. They're able to sit really far back, as it looks like Miley could be in a bit of danger here. Melbs comes back after getting the mounted archery and takes that kill for himself. Beacon available to capture, and you got to think that La Bomba should be on this, considering the fact that there were two people in duo lane for VGF, but it looks like they're just going to keep running it down here. And
so
NBA
much
Prospect
damage.
getting super low. Dookie has just seen the fact that the crushing wave is done. Gets the kill, but the knock-up should be enough to trade. And it is. Dookie falls down as well. No Aegis yet for the ADC. And Rivers Big comes out, and House picks himself up a kill in mid lane. What a scuffle.
Yeah, it seems like he's back on the same BS from last game, just having such an impact in these team fights on the tier. And I do like the idea from Effrey there to try and trap the enemy under the tower, but maybe he just didn't realize he was actually trapped in there with them.
Yeah, it's not a matter of you're trapped in here with me. It's a bit of a... Wait, what? It's not a matter of I'm trapped in with you. It's a bit of you're trapped in with me, it seems like. And Effrey kind of corners himself a little bit there. The tier 1 does fall. It's I have to admit, it's a bit of a quiet game out of the Chiron. I've just noticed now that we've not seen a lot of anything from Yugi here. No kills, no deaths, no assists. Not a lot of player damage either. Just kind of patiently farming in this mid lane. I think out of most people on this La Bomba team, the Chiron's probably the one who should be getting active the earliest.
Yeah, I think at the same time, once he gets maybe 1 or 2 more items online. Ooh, Dookie could fall here. Both relics come out. There's still a crushing wave available, but he gets up into the Astral Barrage. He should still fall. Maybe overcommitted the relics there.
Oh, that's a good dash, but NBA Prospect will pick up that kill. I mean, I don't hate the fact that he's used the Astral Barrage to attempt to get the dash back. Obviously, it did come up. Didn't quite pay off for him. But those hero cooldowns are so short on the one that 9 times out of 10, you're probably just giving him enough time to get the ability back to kill you.
And no vision there from Juki, but we do see him pick up the Chalice of the Oracle, so hopefully a bit more heads up for those ganks in the future.
Yeah, look, I don't hate this pickup either. A lot of people do normally say though, as an ADC, you want to try and get your power spike as soon as you can. So Look, I like him having the Chalice Oracle. At this point in the game, probably not so much. You know, doesn't even have that Executioner online yet. He probably needs to be looking at that. Dancing Dragons comes out, and it looks like it will secure the Pyromancer. Milo's going to take the tier 1 tower off in duo lane. And a bit of a reset from the boys now. BGF have slowly crept away to about a 4.5k gold lead here.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm tripping in saying this, but I actually think Charon's valid with a traditional hunter build. Also, you can pick up the Dev's crit on Charon and it still feels good. Have you ever doubled?
Look, it's been a hot minute since I played Charon. As the Crushing Wave comes out to no joy. I think Weave is going to fall down here. There's a big grouping though, and House has made the rotation in. Gets the beads off of the emoji? No? What did I just see there? As anyway, Aries Gamer picks up a kill. Dookie picks up one for himself as well. Aries super low here. Could be looking at getting... Oh no, never mind. Yugi gets Carter. The jousting kill comes through, but Melbs isn't done yet. He could be looking at Milo. Picks that kill up. Make sure he secures his own green buff. Yugi's going to manage to scamper away. I'm pretty sure that was the Centauros there that managed to... get the kill. A bit of a long-range snipe out of the Chiron.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange split team fight there. Obviously, both teams just want to get this Gold Fury, but I don't know, possibly the backline from La Bomba could have been a bit more protected by Efri, because I saw Melbs just be able to dive 2 people, and he does so much damage at this point of the game, picking up the Hachi with ease.
Yeah, that Lancelot is starting to really slap. We can see he's got the full Transcendence online. I like the fact that he's gone the Brawlers. Looks like it will be a Magi's coming out, which I really like on the Lancelot. You know, he's only really susceptible to stuns. You know, getting that hard CC cleanse on, I think, is a really good pickup from Melbs. He's clearly already got enough damage. Can afford to just give up, you know, a damage item in this slot.
When Lancelot came out, he couldn't even be stunned off his horse, right?
There's I'm fairly
bad.
certain he could. There might have been a bug that stopped it, but I'm fairly certain it was written in that he could get stunned off the horse.
I remember he was so OP when he came out.
Well, he'd come out and he'd do the 2-1-1 and you just lose your entire health bar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he was pretty strong at that point. Not quite as strong anymore, but in the right hands, in the capable hands of Melbs especially, is still showing off the strength of the horse guarders. Looks like all the only waves are being cleared. No real push from BGF. I would have liked to have seen them try to maybe just hard shove one of these waves with the only minions. At least maybe look for an invade or a pick, but instead they're just kind of passively farming here. Dookie's over securing the blue buff for some reason.
I think they might be looking for a little tower push here.
I do like the tower push call. This is exactly what I'm saying. As it looks like Melbs is diving over in the duo lane. I think mounted archery, yeah, it was just forced in duo lane. Melbs looks like he's going to take that and retreat, but La Bomba could try and take a fight here, knowing that, you know, the most fed character on BGF is not here right now. As Aries Gamer gets on the horse, he's chasing it down. It's a good Riptide out of the Emoja. Crushing Wave doesn't look like it found any joy at all, though. The damage on the back end, though, Rivers Rebuke was very good. NBA Prospect will pick up House. The Dancing Dragons just kind of thrown out for a bit of damage.
Yeah, this is kind of a strange grouping, I think. We saw there was a bit of a... Oh my... knockup.
Oh, the Jousting Field comes out. The second use... This is what's so strong about the Lancelot, is the ability just to ride it on the horse, dump the ability, get your 2 ground stance abilities off, get back on the horse with the Jousting Field, and then dump it again. So Melbs plays it really well, but Yugi plays it just a little bit better. Good use of the relics to stay alive.
I like this from Hachi as well. I think you could argue that this team fight isn't for anything. They were probably looking for a tower, but that wave got cleared so early and right that they just turned into a little bit of a pointless fight, and we see Hachi just say, everybody, I'm going mid, and just goes and takes a tower. And now he's in position for this beacon contest.
Yeah, and it looks like the Bomba aren't going to contest though, as they're going for the Pyromancer, which they will secure, but Dookie's in a bit of an awkward spot, but so's Milo. As both ADCs will fall to the enemy jungler, and a good double fearless. I'm getting tired of saying that from House. He just keeps picking up couple of the homies holding their hands, sending them straight to his boys. Melbs gets caught out a little bit here, though. Could be a bit of a chase. Crushing Wave is available, but so is Jousting Field. Looks like the Jousting Field may have been a little bit better here as Weaver's now rotated in and could blink, followed by the Crushing Wave, and
We should see him fall here.
NBA Prospect just in absolutely no idea where he needs to be right there. Will fall down to the huge rotation from BGF, and this beacon wasn't even captured, Moss. It's still on.
Don't worry, Weave's on it. I love solo capping beacons. Feels so satisfying. Either post team fight or while there's a team fight going on, you can just stroll over, pick it up. Weave knows what's up. This is a free Oni as well. Or no, Primal. Sorry.
Dookie just bringing all of the buffs into the Primal Fury.
It's efficiency.
Yeah, if you can be one thing, Moss, you should be efficient. As it will be the Primal Fury. House looking to try and get these comeback chests. I think Milo's going to get those before he can manage to get there. Reset's coming out. Could be about time for Fire Giant as this lead is starting to spoon out. 6k now for BGF.
Yeah, I think what you were saying before is kind of still ringing true a little bit. We haven't seen a whole lot out of this Chiron. Been a little bit too quiet. Hasn't been getting involved like Carter. The Guan Yu, I think, is becoming more involved than Ares has been in the past 2 matches, but still not having anywhere near as much impact as Lahouse. I think it's pretty criminal that he just gets this tier pick again and gets to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, do you think maybe the bans could have represented a little bit more in the way of House? You know, maybe banning that tier away.
Yeah.
I think the Tiamat was banned from last game, which I thought was good. I think it's one of Carter's best picks. Banning that away is, you know, although that is a good idea, Carter does have other picks he can fall back on, like this Yu Huang, which is showing off really well. Same as they banned the Thor away from Melbs, and we can see he's got other things to fall back on. He played the Susanna really well last game. He's piloting this Lancelot really well this game too. Maybe a tier ban could have come out.
Yeah, or just maybe some different prioritization from their solo pick. Like maybe I'm just a little bit messed up in the head, but I just love playing Artio into tier and just running at a tier the entire game.
Is Artio good right now?
She's decent with all the proccing items and the amount of abilities she has. CC with the spikes and the binding. She's not in a bad spot, but obviously there's stronger picks. If it's in the right spot though, the Artio pumps.
Well, I wouldn't have hated to see the Artio. The Artio does affect a little bit of what BGF want to do. The Lancelot can't use that first ability in the cripple field. She also has a stun, a very quick and easy to use stun, which wouldn't have been too bad. Obviously, the Lancelot was picked last as Jousting Field gets caught, but unfortunately, that second ability on the horse is able to leap over walls. So Crushing Wave comes out in the back line. Not enough damage to take Melbs out as it looks like he's trying to get back into the fight. That shield on the Lancelot is huge. Dookie's pumping out the damage here though. Goes into the sky. Efri could be the target. It looks like everyone's going to fall back. Beads used from NBA Prospect. A good silence to make sure that he can't get the water hands off. Melb's going to pick up another one. 8-0-3 now for the BGF jungler.
Yeah, I didn't really think that we'd be seeing Lancelot, let alone Lancelot pumping, but I'm really impressed by Melbs. This pick hasn't really come out. I don't even know if it's come out at all.
I love to see Lancelot pumping, bro. I love to see it. He's one of my favorite gods. I love it.
He's actually not terrible in solo either. With a similar build to what you'd be building on Wukong, with a Soul Eater Glad spikes. Try it out.
If anyone's playing Lancelot, bro, it's me. As he looks to be going straight in the back. Jousting Field comes out, and Chiron's down. He's in that ultimate. He's in that Centaurus ultimate. I don't think he's going to find a kill here. Melbs picks up another one. As the jungler just going full Travis Scott, man. He's pulling out. He's going sicko mode.
Yeah, they just don't have an answer for this pace that Melbs is playing the game at. He's level 20. The enemy team is just suffering. We see a 3-7 Hebo really not doing what he wants. There's too much damage and pressure coming out from this dive from BGF. The tier popping off again, Lancelot. There's just no safety for this La Bomba team.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mixed call here as the Dark Pillars have come out, but so is the Rivers Rebuke. Milo's nowhere to be seen here as Dookie's going to pick up the first kill. And it looks like that could be it for now. As it look, I think NBA Prospect could be in a bit of danger here. 2 shots of the Astral Barrage do connect. The Jousting Field comes out and the Horse Charge is enough. NBA Prospect goes down as well. It's a 3 versus 5 right now around this Fire Giant, and we could see it picked up here again. I'd like to see it picked up. I need Dookie to come back and start hitting it. He's kind of been looking like the tank at this point. He's kind of just standing in the face of all of the Bomba.
I respect an ADC who tank. It's a very nice thing to see. Oh, Yugi could steal this. Not
He could,
in
but it's
time.
not quite enough damage. House doing his best just to lay into him. Efri's in a bit of danger here. That's a good blink in.
Oh, too clean.
Oh, the Fearless through the Riptide. You love to see that. Beads force, but
Oh
way
my
too much damage.
god.
The
How much
Khan's
damage
force
did he
as
just
well.
do? With, what's the one called on Lancelot?
It's a great question. You think I'd know that?
It's Achilles combat dodge on steroids.
Yeah, it is. It's just instead of being able to go any direction, you can only go straight. But a lot of damage. I mean, I think that was kind of a mix of all the damage in BGF. Yugi falls really quickly, and this lead is getting severely out of control. I think La Bomba are... It's starting to become a little bit difficult to them to get back into this game. There is a Primal Fury. They could try and sneak this one away. They do have a Mage and an ADC here. I think this is probably the right call. Although Weave is in the area, he might sniff this out. Those Dharmic Pillars could really rustle some feathers here.
Chigo does not want to step off the objective, but thinks better of it. I would like to see more of what Milo was trying to do before with the split push, but it seems like his team was still playing like they had their full 5 there around Fire just before. Because there's players on this La Bomba team who still need farm. Like we see a level 18 Guan. I don't think anybody except for the Hachi has really been farming that well. So I think some split push could be good to see, but I don't know if La Bomba have it in the lockness to just play around a split push.
Aries Game of Force and that cavalry charge
Oh.
dashes into the Astral Barrage. I think Dookie put that one a little bit too far ahead, but still manages to pick up the kill.
Intentional.
Yeah, Aries, yeah, intentionally. He saw the future as Melbs picks up Yugi in the back again. This Lancelot, they just have no answer for it. And once again, another double Fearless comes out, forces the bees from NBA Prospect, who then gets pushed back by the Dancing Dragons. This could be game here. If they take out Milo, both Relics forced. Weave's still in the area. House, of course, House gets it done once again.
That should be. Oh, Titan is out of the Titan room.
Hang on a second. Oh, everyone's favorite interaction. Titan is gone. As NBA Prospect is going to fall down. It was just a matter of who'd get the kill. It is Carter in the end, and they can't end the game because Titan's gone walkabout.
That's tragic. I played a casual the other day where like no one had realized that the Titan spawned because we were in their Titan room, and we put everything we have into the Titan, and then it just gets a second HP bar. I was so confused.
Look, I'll admit though, I like what BGF are doing here. They say we don't care about the Titan. We know we can't end the game right now, and instead of going back and dealing with it, they're using the advantage of their numbers to just take everything off the map here. They've taken that extra Phoenix. Looks like they're going for the purple buff, maybe the tier 2 in duo lane. Dookie's come back to help Weave clear this Titan out. And if they're smart here, they could just kind of push. There's no need to reset here. They've taken 2 Phoenixes off the map. They have spotted out Efri. I think he could be in a bit of danger of falling too to Melbs and House.
Yeah, it seems like just BGF has just been on the same page this game. Like what we've seen in these previous weeks, the engages have been very good together. In that mid lane there, they just easily wiped the enemy team very cleanly. I think this game, they're really firing on all engines.
Okay, we stay on the same page, except for Dookie, who just refuses to group up with his team or do an objective behind a tank.
That's them firing. That's it.
Maybe that's the win condition for him. Maybe that's what BGF need to be playing through. There's a couple little spinnies coming out of NBA Prospect there.
He's got the mechanics down. We were saying this.
Look, Moss, it's starting to get to the point of becoming a bit of that 99%er, right? What do you think La Bomba need to do here? Do you think maybe they need to try and set up an ambush, catch someone from BGF out? Should they be defending on this Phoenix? As pings are coming out towards that Phoenix line, maybe that is the call.
Okay. This is the game plan. Split push Hachi entire game. 5-man Guan Yu stun. 5-man blink crushing wave. Hachi ends the game. Thoughts?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I think that needs to happen.
Yeah. As it looks like they're on the same page now. The Hachi is going for it. Looks like a bit of a grouping around the fire giant, but Carter's come to stop this. And I'd like to see Milo just kind of split push. I think you're right. It's kind of at the point here, you know, he is full build, hasn't sold or upgraded the starter item yet. But this is an EFG. It's a hard one to give up. 2 Phoenixes are down. Looks like Milo is electing to come over.
Even when they've had their full 5 in these fights, it just seems like there hasn't been any chance for La Bomba. Possibly some pick prio problems, or maybe that there's just too much frontline pressure from BGF. House is creating so much room, and Efri, on the other hand, is walking into River's Rebuke the FG.
Yeah, I don't think Efri going for the steal there is quite the call. There's probably some other characters who could have done it a bit better. It's now left his team in an awkward position of not having their support, and 2 people will instantly fall. NBA Prospect, Yugi both go down, and the horse isn't finished here. Takes Guan Yu straight off his horse.
That's
And
all
that'll
she
be
wrote.
Milo as well, and that's going to be game. It will be the 2-1 to BGF. They will win the set, the final set of Season 4, before heading into finals. And
Man, I was hyped.
fashion.
I was hyped on La Bomba in that first game. They were owning. I just wish they could have continued that. Maybe they should have stuck with the Thana. I can't remember if it was exactly banned, but I think La Bomba played really well in that first game. But yeah, BGF kind of just let the game play out at their own pace, let Melbs do what he want in both those games, and yeah, they just profited.
Yeah, I don't know if the Thana was banned. I don't think it was in game 3 at least. I wouldn't have hated to see it run back. As just a really convincing win from BGF. I think, as you said, firing on all cylinders. But I mean, I've got to shout it out. I said it before it started. The 12-0-8 Lancelot, you know, part of 20 kills. Huge damage for most of the game. I'm not too sure. I'm a little bit excited to see the next page tick over. Look, I thought Melbs had a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really was the difference there. You got your 30k damage. That's huge.
I think he'd be my vote for MVP. But do you think that anybody else has some warrants for that call?
Look, it's hard, man.
La House played really well.
Yeah, look, it's so hard because House had such a good game, both game 2, game 3. I don't think he was outstanding in game 1. But then there's also Weave. Weave had a really good set in general. I do think it's so hard for supports to really get the recognition that they deserve. But I mean, we saw Melbs on the Susano. We saw him on the Lancelot. I can't quite remember game number 1.
He played Bakasura.
The Bakasura. I think he had a world of things to do in game number 1, and he did him relatively well. So I do think Melbs is probably my MVP, but Weave would have to be a close second, and even House maybe.
Yeah.
As,
Well, it's a tied 1-1.
that MVP vote was not up for very long. I didn't even get the vote, but my vote would have been to Melbs. So Melbs wins the MVP.
Let's go.
As
I think that's. I was going to say, I think that's the reason that they picked up Melbs. Like, he has this potential in sets. Just to, if he's in his groove, he can just play like this and absolutely carry.
yeah, he really has the ability just to go turbo nuclear, and but that will do it for our set tonight. I think we do have the updated standings, the ones that will be leading into finals. There we go. And as I said earlier on, a very clean sweep from Wonderful Day for Pi. They take every single set 2-0. They don't drop a single game. Almost the same can be said for Threats. The only game they did drop, obviously, was that set against Wonderful Day for Pi. In third place, we have the Crimson Knights, followed closely by Married Men.
I
And then our
thought we were
last,
third.
and
Oh
then
no! Oh no! Okay.
and then our last two teams to make it into finals will be BGF in that fifth position and the Jack Martins in sixth. Unfortunately, we do say goodbye to the Crusaders, to La Bomba, but this will be our finals bracket. I do believe it's 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5, and then the winner of 3 versus 6 goes on to play 2, and the winner of 4 versus 5 goes on to play 1, as we do have the schedule here for the finals. The names are all in, and I think the first couple games will be Sunday. They'll probably be casted on Friday next week.
Who knows? It would be awesome to see them live, but as you guys know, we're trying our best with the casters that we've got. So we'll do what we can.
Yeah, unfortunately, live games are a bit hard with most games being played at the same time. So with casters generally also being players, it's a bit hard. This format has worked out a little bit better for us in the past couple of weeks. So either way, I'm sure those games will get to everyone. The public will be able to see them. And out of those first two round games, what are you thinking's a little bit more of the exciting one there, Moss?
Well, I think both are pretty exciting. We have seen the Jack Martins not be in the best of form this season. Their roster is good, so they can't be taken lightly by Knights. But I think my team versus BGF should be a great set.
Yeah, I do think the Married Men vs BGF should be a real ripper. I'm excited to see that one.
We did
And
drop our last one 2-1 to them, so we have something to prove.
yeah, a little bit of a point to prove. So that could be interesting. As the second round, as we can all see, there is a default time of Thursday, which means that we probably will have the cast come out a little bit sooner, maybe a Wednesday cast. I'm not too sure when people will be available, but we'll probably see the round one streamed a little bit earlier, and then the round two maybe on the Friday. But either way, pay attention to the Discord server. All updates will be there. All information can be found there, and don't be afraid to ask someone.
It's good to mention also that we do have this losers bracket format as well. So if any of these teams find themselves losing their first game in the round one, they will have a second opportunity to come back through that losers bracket.
That is true. That is true. So a lot of exciting finals we played, but that is it for us tonight. Moss, thank you very much for joining me here, keeping me a bit of company.
Been a pleasure. Likewise to yourself.
And thank you to Redacted as well for running the camera for us tonight. But anyway, that is it for us, and we'll see you soon, I'm sure.